APAC News Network at the second Global Education and Skills Conclave. This is the second day of the conclave, which began yesterday, and we have a very galaxy of educationists and bureaucrats, and speaking about the direction education in India is taking, especially in a post-pandemic world, and how technology is sort of helping in that. So today's panel discussion, we will be discussing a very pertinent topic on how industry and academia can collaborate successfully. We have seen this collaboration in many of the developed countries. If you see most of the Ivy League universities in US and even the other universities or in other developed economies, they work in tandem with industries. We see a lot of these incubation centers and centers of excellences. Whereas many of these are coming up in India, but still, to the extent perhaps we want that collaboration is still missing. So, with this very esteemed set of panelists, we would like to take that up. Before I come to the discussion points, let me introduce the very esteemed panelists who are gathered here today. So we have Mr. Karun Dube. He is the business head of IntercellWorld, the virtual mentor network. So Mr. Karun Dube. So we would like to welcome Dr. Rana Singh, Vice Chancellor and CEO of Sanskriti University. We would like to welcome Dr. Jatinder Sharma, Vice Chancellor of Baddi University of Engineering and Emerging Sciences and Technology. We would like to welcome Dr. Parvinder Singh, Vice Chancellor of Rayat, Bahra University. We would like to welcome Ms. Sayalee Gankar, Vice Chancellor of DY Patil University. We would like to welcome Dr. Ashok Bansali, Director of Industry Collaboration in OP Jindal University. We would also like to welcome Professor Ujjwal Chowdhury, who is the former Vice Chancellor at ADAMAS University and the former Provost of ADAMAS University and ex-Dean of Symbiosis and Amity University. So a warm welcome to all the panelists, and we would also like to welcome Professor J.K. Sharma into the panel. What broadly we would like to discuss today is what are the main challenges all of you are experienced in which are preventing the industry academia collaboration reach the extent that we see in many of the developed countries. So what is lacking both in terms from both the stakeholders, both from the academia side and also from the industry side? We would also like to talk about some of the best practices that are done globally and how those can be replicated in India. And also, we would like to talk about the role of the students here in terms of having summer schools and internships, how that culture of working with industries during their internships can be inculcated in the students themselves. Another critical factor will be how the faculty can be retrained so that their knowledge is upgraded and updated, up to date, more with what are the industrial norms now. So these are broadly, and any of the panelists, please feel free to add whatever points you would like to discuss. Before I start with each of the panelists, one hygiene request to all. Please keep your answer to 3 to 4 minutes each so that we are able to cover more in the given scope of time. So I would like to first start with taking a little bit of the industry point of view, and I'll come to Mr. Karun, that's the reason. And from the industry point of view, I would like what do you feel from the Indian academic institution side? What are the positives and what are the challenges from an industry perspective? What why the better collaboration is not happening? So maybe first focus on the positive side. What are the pros, and then we'll talk about the challenges. Over to you, Mr. Karun.
Thank you, Rajneesh, for giving us the time for this valuable discussion. And good afternoon to all who are part of the panelists. So let me just introduce about, first Intercell, what we are. Just a quick brief. So Intercell is a SaaS-based platform. We are an Indian startup. We are more than 3.5 years old into the system, and we have created a platform wherein the students and young professionals can connect to industry leaders, industry professionals. Currently, we have around 1,500 plus mentors coming from various backgrounds and from various countries. We have mentors coming from 30 plus countries, and the platform is designed in a manner for the academia and for the young professionals wherein they can pick and choose their mentors as per the industry type and as per the career field types. So we have more than 30 plus industries that we are covering as of now, and around 250 plus career fields that we are capturing in the automated platform that we have created. Now, this platform is available over the web, over the iOS, Android apps. Now, the benefit for this kind of platform for the students and the professionals, and it is helping the academia also, is every semester or every quarter, this platform can be used for the students to connect to the industry leaders. And these are people who have more than 15 to 20 years of work experience, and these are working professionals, and they have quite a lot of brand experience. So the mentors who are available on the platform have more than 15 to 20 years of work experience. And when they have these industry background experience, they identify whenever a student is passing from a college or from any university and then entering into internship and furthermore getting into the job role, they identify there is a gap. The requirement in the industry and the academic, there is a huge gap. So we are not into education. Intercell doesn't provide any of the education category. So, but what we provide is the industry access, a platform wherein we bridge the gap between the education and the industry, so that together we can, get more youth coming into the industry who can perform better and who can, deliver the goals as per what the industry requirements are. We all have witnessed in the last 1.5 year of the pandemic, the industry shifted, the requirements shifted. It was the ad hoc requirements coming from various industries, and they have shifted accordingly because they already identified the talent, that was coming from the market, and they nurtured that talent quickly, in a given span of time, and then, created some resources in house to bridge the gap what industry asked, what the nation asked. Classic example, the automotive industry contributed a lot for making the ventilators. The automotive industry contributed a lot in creating different medical requirements that was coming, equipments. And this is how our various industries, our clothing industry and rest of the industry also contributed a lot. So our platform Intercell is helping to identify the industry requirement by the students, who are conducting mentoring sessions, with these mentors, and all these inputs are together created in a form of reporting that is being generated to all the universities and all the institutes and the corporates who are connected with us, so that in a designed manner they can change their curriculums, their academic collaborations as per the industry requirement. So this is how we are contributing right now. Over to you,
Thank
Rajneesh.
you. Thank you. Now we have heard a perspective from a solution provider who is looking at bridging the gap between industry and academia. Now I'll come to each of you in the academia, and I'll start with you, Dr. Rana. My question to you would be, from your own experience, where are the bottlenecks, or may I say the gaps? Why we see in developed economies and the institutions, academic institutions, having a lot of these centers of excellences and those stuff which are in collaboration with industry. Why is it still lacking in India? What do you think are the challenges? Over to you, Dr. Ram.
Thank you very much. It's pleasure to be part of such an eminent panel. Coming straight to your question, the biggest challenge in the country is in terms of the diversity of the universities, as well as we see we have institutions of we have INIs, institutions of national importance. We have state university, central university, private university, deemed universities, deemed to be universities. So first is the diversity in availability of resources. That's first. The second is in terms of the required level of importance in the process of accreditation is slightly suboptimal. What really happens is more and more emphasis these days by the parents is in terms of what has been the outcome of placements, wherein if we look at the proximity of industry and academia, if they come together, the culmination is in form of enhanced level of knowledge, skills and competencies, which is ultimately bound to give a good placement. So the emphasis is on the outcome, not on the root, corrective mechanisms. However, so one is in terms of diversity of the nature of higher educational institutions, that's one. Second, the difference in accordance of importance. Well, some institutions, they have very high degree of importance in collaboration with the industry. Others may not have the same level of passion, orientation, commitment, and endeavor. So diversity of the nature of the university, that's one. Second is the passion and commitment, that is second. Third is financial allocation, because like some universities are able to make high level of allocation, whereas others, even if they are willing, they may not be able to make those high levels of allocation, especially when they are establishing centers of excellence like Siemens Center of Excellence and so on and so forth. So third is financial resource crunch. Fourth is the bureaucratic processes. Like some of the government universities, they do have the requisite financials, but the process of bringing about change is a long drawn process, and sometimes they have to take approval from their education ministry of the state or of the center as well. So the long drawn bureaucratic processes also come in between. This was the fourth one. Fifth is the challenge and the exponential rate of development in the industry. By the time the academic institution takes a decision, the rate of change is very, very high. So the higher educational institutions and universities really need to catch up with the pace of the rapid change, the exponential rate of change of the industry. Last but not the least, the universities, most of the Indian universities, unlike US and other developed economies, do not have representation from the corporate world, and vice versa. Like in the developed economies, we see the professors as board of directors of the various corporate entities, and the people who are on the board of directors of the corporate world, they are also part on the governance of the universities. So it helps both of them to get a fair understanding of each other and are able to contribute the growth and development of each other. So when professors are on the board of various corporate entities, automatically they are able to contribute with their academic research and development in the process of product development in the corporate world, and vice versa, they bring back to the academia the latest expectations of the industry. Similarly, when there is representation of people from the industry, they are able to contribute to the curriculum development to make the curriculum continuously updated. So that's these are the points, and that's all from my side. Over to you.
Thank you. Extremely valid points, and we would like to take up some of these points in more detail with the other panelists also. I'll come next to Dr. Sayalee Gankar. My question is, you represent one university which is primarily located in one of the country's top industrial corridors. And in terms of your experience, in this collaboration with industry, and you heard some of the points which Dr. Rana also mentioned. So, keeping that in mind, what has been your experience, and why do you find the bottlenecks in having a more cooperation between industry and academia?
Okay, thank you. Thank you for the opportunity which you have given it to me. Actually, if you look at it, right, because this is always a age-old the question and challenge with industry and academia collaboration. Because if you look at the developed world, especially the western part of it, you will find that they are engaging themselves since from the ages for the innovation and the growth for the technology, especially in the technology part of it. The active involvement of university, government, students, and faculty is very necessary. We talk about it more. We know that there are certain challenges, understanding like financial challenges, or maybe the one more challenge we talk, which has been raised here, is the bureaucratic approach. Fine, having understood those, still I think the capacity development is major issue in front of all the campuses when we look at it. Because when I am, my university is at the center of the industrial hub of Maharashtra. So we are connected with Bombay. We are located centrally with the Pune IT hub and manufacturing hub. And that I am now, what we are exploring is that industries are ready to come. We are approaching them, and definitely, I think this is the time where both the we can say the stakeholders have realized it very well, that now we need to really come together and collaborate and explore the possibilities. Of course, the labs are now, if you look at it, the COVID 19 has created a wonderful impact, not in negative terms I'm talking about, but opened the many doors of innovation, especially in learning and teaching processes. So if you look at it, almost my 70% students are now working on the live projects with these companies, right? The reason is during the lockdown period, it was really difficult for students to move out. But then it is realized that if we can convert industries as a learning platform, that will add a value and really take it to the next level. Of course, the innovation and growth requires a strong base or advanced approach for the research and creation of knowledge, which is very important. This will happen when there will be a skilled workforce which will really march towards that particular or really work on that area. I'm talking about the new skills, what earlier speaker has made a very valid point, and it is more of the pace with the rate of change which is happening in industries with the, especially with the technology. So when we are interacting with Tata Motors, even the L&T, JCB, Toyota, right? We are talking to them today. We had a wonderful partnership, the process we have started with them. So now we are working together for the various activities, and one of them is the technology part of it. We are working on battery, right? So we are going to talk about electrical vehicles, that lab we are setting up along with these companies, right? Not only that, IBM and other organizations have also came forward to support us for AI and big data, right? So if you look at it, such kind of initiatives have started. Industries have also realized, and I think now henceforth, maybe in the next 2 years, we will find a wonderful outcome of all these efforts what we all are taking. I was referring the framework of industry university linkage, which was published in 2019 by Ministry of Science and Technology. So I was going through it, and it was, they were also talking about few areas which are very important. So universities have to create the labs as a factory kind of setup where students can actually practice and have hands-on learning experiences, right? So we are now moving towards more towards the specialist knowledge. We are moving towards more practical training, right? And this all will benefit the universities to understand the relevant technologies and challenging problems. We have created a think tank where the industry, science and technology part and our universities are going to sit together with the incubation center so that we can deal with the challenges. And we are talking about the real life challenges, and that we are taking it very, very positively. Uh, of course, the research outcome we always talk about is commercialization, right? So I think if we start moving towards that, that will boost the morale of the faculty members, students, and industry together. And these things, I think this will definitely help us to really, what we all talking about is how we can collaborate. And for this, we need to increase our research capacity. We need to increase our enrollment in PhD programs so that, and of course, the investment what Sir has talked about, so that innovation can be, we can see that the outcome can be the innovation. And then these companies can really rely on us. We need to establish the research parks also, and that is what we are now aiming at, right? So a huge investment, financial the funds allocation is required, and here we are expecting that how government can support to us, right? So if you look at it, these research parks are with the very few organizations or the institutions like IITs, right? If you look at it, so Hyderabad, Bombay, and all, they have those research parks with them. So now the time has come where the universities deemed to be or private universities have to create these research parks, and they have to really work on creating new technologies with the definitely the problem solving approach which is faced by the industries. And I'm sure we will be able to do it. And if you look at it, the AICTE, National Education Policy, and universities have taken the cognizance of these new technologies in terms of electric vehicles, in terms of IoT or the AI and all. That has become a part of our BTech programs, right? We are moving MCA programs, which was again a computer-based program, which we are now focusing on data sciences. So if you look at it, the universities, especially private universities, have quickly taken the decisions to launch these programs, which will help these industries to have the skilled workforce in their organization. But all this is required to be done on very consistency has to be there, so that this proactive approach can really be more outcome oriented, and we can be the part of now, because now India can be looked at as a developed country unless we really produce, we are able to work on the technology, cost part of it, and the really going ahead than what we talk about the competition with the neighborhood countries. I think this is what I wanted to share it from our side. And our university has taken great amount of effort to get connected with the leading research organizations, at the same time the research the scholars, right? So we have created a network of PhD scholars for us the campus. Not only that, our industry speakers are coming now and they are conducting the sessions with our students. So this kind of collaboration, understanding the needs of industry, understanding the gaps which are there, are required to be bridged with the syllabus, delivery, and research labs, and of course research parks soon in our campuses. That will help us to really have this approach what we are talking about, a true academic and industry collaboration. Thank you so much.
Welcome. It's nice to hear about the upgradation in the curriculum, incorporating the new technologies that you have done, as well as you are talking about some of the partnerships with the industries. I'll come to next to Dr. Parvinder. My question is two important stakeholders here from the institution side are the faculties and the students. One, faculties, how the faculties need to retrain and remain very updated, because the pace at which the new technologies and new methodologies are happening in the industry. So ultimately, the faculties are training the students to make the students industry relevant. The faculties themselves have to impart that necessary knowledge. So, how far is the faculty and also the student community in terms of being offered internship at industries, how they have to culturally reorient themselves? Over to you, Dr. Parvinder.
Thank you, Rajneesh, for introducing us and giving us the opportunity to speak from this platform. And I think this is very healthy discussion which is going on. Dr. Rana and Dr. Sayalee, they have highlighted some of the features. Uh, at the moment, if we talk in context of the COVID-19 and the post-COVID-19 situation, uh, to me, it has become a very imperative to strengthen the industry academia collaboration, which is really required from every stakeholder. Because the higher education, which is the most important component in any country across the world, so it is vital for all of us. So higher education remains fruitless for the individual who attained unless the country has the specific output. That is very important. An effective industry academic collaboration, which is essential for the advancement of the science as well as technology. But what is required, as you said, for the faculty and for the teacher, it is the partnership which should be understood and should be the knowledge to the teacher, and then the sharing of the knowledge from the industry to the academy, from academic to the industry. And then the mutual cooperation to develop this bond. Then what are the challenges which come across, and what are the perspectives and the reconciliation related to these things. So these things, I think they are very important. Now, what is happening before we transfer the information knowledge to our teacher, it is very important that the industry and academia, they lack coordination or initiative from all of us. Academia need the industry at every stage. Industry needs the academia. There might be difference of their functioning in their areas or in their streams. The best solution will be as quickly as possible. There must be adaptability of their policies and their working, the area of identical interest and specific areas. So all around the world, it is happening that the education institutions or industry, they are interrelated. As Dr. Rana was saying, in the Western countries, the industries, they are controlling the academics also because they are funding them. They have the resources also, and they are bringing the innovations which before we plan, before we think, the products or the materials they are made available by the industry with the help of the academics. So the same can be further taken. It must be carefully planned in our country because there is a, as he said, there is a diversity. Uh, as Madam was Dr. Sayalee was saying, she is in the university which is surrounded by the industry, and most of them they are the heavy industry. But if we come to the northern India, you come to the Chandigarh or the Himachal, that component will be missing. So that is one of the reason of the diversified location of the university, because we need to understand that the academy, whether it is a northern Indian universities or it is a southern or western or eastern, we must be working on the same policy which is designed and framed by our government of India or by the state government. So the impediments will be different, the hurdles and the challenges will be different. So what will be required? Industry will face the challenges and competition. So industry need to look beyond the industry partner, that which academy institution is near the industry. So well-planned collaboration is required on the part of the intellectual fraternity That is the teachers, that is the stakeholder of the university or the higher education institution or the national laboratory or even the private laboratories who are excelling on this front. So this will need a perfect academic research planning. Only few academic institutions they are partnered with the institution, as we have fortunately we have from the APACGESC. So there is a certainly initial interactive pitfalls. This is because the academic institution cannot go for the partnership with the industry for collaboration because lack of the funds are there, or the industry may have lacking the confidence in the academic institution. That is very important. Collaboration with the large industries and small industry may differ. So time factors, and then it comes the resources, finances. So they need to be taken into account, and plus the local administrative hurdles which academic institution will come across. Now, what will be required? We must have the national industrial academic collaboration, where the best practices or the best decision can be shared with the other universities. In light of that, all universities, all stakeholders, all academic leaders, they will ponder upon that what component I can add or what recipe I can add to my academic institution, to my teachers, so that there is a bond of trust and the mutual confidence to carry forward the academia industry collaboration. So what will be required in that means the research training and the research center in the academic institution, which should be supported by the industry itself, and that industry should be either in the public sector or it should be private sector, because government industries may not able to fund the academic institution, particularly in the private sector. In the context of the new education policies, the role of the private education sector, which will be more than that of the public university. This is a very acceptable fact now, that the all the components of the new education policy, they are for the qualitative improvement and the education reform in our country by 2030. Either we have to increase the GR or we have to link up with the industry for the survival. The focus of transfer of the knowledge from the academic to the industry and vice versa, it will be inter-sector issue now. So to transfer the knowledge, the knowledge must be transferred to the people of the university. As you said, Rajneesh, as you said, that we must train the teacher that what is the requirement of industry, and it should be on the fast track. It should not be that we are planning, we are executing, and by the time industry switch over to some other model. So that is important. So the transfer of knowledge and the research skills should be very fast track program. And to bring the new expertise, there must be recruitment of the researchers who have worked in the industry, and they give the opinion, they give their guidance to the teacher. So what can be the modus operandi in this regard? So opportunity to the teacher must be of the par excellence, and to develop a complementary and transferable skill, that will be important. So this is my initial submission with regard to your question. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Parvinder. I'll come to you, Dr. Ashok. And what I would like you to focus on is you heard the earlier speakers, and one thing was even in terms of the industries, there are different expectations from the PSUs and the private industries. That is one part. And the second part is we heard the financial part also came up. So, from your own experience, what are the challenges on the financial aspects, and what are your expectations from the industry in terms of both the PSUs as well as the private universities? You are on mute. You are on mute, Dr. Bansali. You are on mute.
Yeah, thanks, Rajneesh. And see, financials, I don't think is a bigger issue. We think big, talk bigger, but we really act small. That is the biggest problem. The problems are like, you can say that policy is an issue, है ना? But we always can mold policies as per our suitability. The bigger issue is what you can say is the missing synergy. This is one. And secondly is the mismatched expectations. See, if you really want to have an industry academia collaboration, it should be a win-win situation for both of you. Industry must get some benefits out of you, and you must get, or your students must get some benefits from the industry. Unless this happens, this bonding really cannot work, and that is the problem. We expect a lot from industry without thinking that what we'll be offering in turn. We want to establish center of excellences, we want to establish collaborative research center without, just for the name's sake. What industries will be getting out of it, that is their concern. And they are really concerned because we are not just an evolving world. We are like undergoing disruption. The change, the rate of change is so fast that if you really cannot keep pace with this, then as an academic institute, you can survive for some time, but the industries really cannot survive. So their priority is very different and our priorities are different. And see what happens, we always think that, okay, the product that is going out of university has got a shelf life of 30, 35, 40 years. So we must impart very strong, like, core technical fundamentals. Whereas industries, they want somebody who really can be put to the like projects from the day one, who really could be productive from day one. And this is mismatch. The industry always work on short-term goals, and you are preparing students for the life. That is the gap, and we need to figure out ways and means to address these issues. See, another thing that is very important to understand, as a country, India is undergoing demographic dividend phase. And we all know that all these countries, be it Japan, be it China, they all like transformed from a developing nation to developed nation during this demographic dividend phase. Yeah? And our Prime Minister has really like understand this thing. And that is why this Skill Mission India, these, that, Digital Startup India, Make in India, all these schemes are there. But we need to understand to what extent we really are getting benefit out of this. That is the question. Because see, lot of policies are there. The policy makers are so confused. There are so many, like you have UGC, you have AICTE, you have like state regulatory authorities. You really don't know. If you look into AICTE itself says that 1+ years of internship is mandatory, but it does not get reflected anywhere in their model curriculum. So like there is huge gap in what we say and what we are trying to implement. And as like private universities, we really can do lot of things at our end. We really need not follow these government rules, regulations, policies to a larger extent. We can always figure out ways and means to implement our own thought process. We are free to connect with the industries, but then as you said, we need to, like, financials could be an issue. I don't say no, but lack of will is a bigger issue. Trust me. Because see, of course, like somebody told, especially Parvinder sir told, that the universities which are like in the vicinity of industrial belts, they really have an advantage over others. The universities which have been set up by the industrialists, they also have an advantage. But I don't think that that becomes a limitation. As a university promoted by Jatinder Group, all our courses are linked with industries. We have Intel integrated programs in Intel integrated BTech and MTech in computer science. We have Siemens integrated program in mechanical. We have Jindal Power Limited and Jindal Steel Limited, JSL and JSW. These are all like linked with our metallurgical, electrical, and civil streams. So if you really think in these directions, then I think that, and you need to truly implement the things that really want out of it. See, in our university, what we have done and that is probably, I think we it's a very good evolving model. We are still working on it. The entire final year is kept aside for industry internship, and 70% of our students, they get into paid internship. So why somebody would offer you a paid internship? Only if your students are ready to contribute from the month one. So you need to prepare your students in such a fashion so that they really could be like meaningful and they can contribute to the industry. If we really follow this approach, then I don't think that there is any issue. The thing is that, as you said in the very beginning, that we must include the industry people in the our curriculum designing boards, academic councils, board of studies, board of management, and we should not just include them in all these societies and bodies for names sake. They must be involved actively in each and every activity. If you really connect with them, and if they feel the connect, then 50% of the problem is solved. So issues are like these are ground level issues. We all understand what needs to be done, but are we really able to implement those things? That if we really can do this, that makes a lot of sense. I think I'm done. Thank you.
Thank you. I'll come to Professor Ujjwal next. Again, one, I would like you to highlight your experience and your views. And one area I'd like to focus on is having interdisciplinary courses in the curriculum. Do they help, especially since what I think all of us would agree that in many cases our curriculum are little backdated, and unless they are not updated, they will not be industry relevant. Does in interdisciplinary courses, and in some cases even the collaborative learning with maybe some global universities, does it help? So what's your experience? You are on mute.
Much has been already spoken. I will come straight to your second question first, and then go to my views on the entire topic. The question that you asked is interdisciplinary education and collaborative learning. Post-pandemic, competition is a dirty word. Collaboration is the in thing. Competition as a concept, it has already become irrelevant in times to come. In these times, we are actually in a collaborative world, whether it is between industries, between universities, industry or university, government and private sector, whatever it is. But collaboration globally or locally is the in thing and the needed thing. That's first. Second that you asked is the interdisciplinarity. We already know new education policy talks about major minor. This has already been implemented in many universities in the country, including the one that have been associated till 31st July, that is ADAMAS University of Calcutta. So one can take a major, that which appeals to his head for his income, productivity, and future career. Let's say someone is taking engineering, and one can take a minor, which is either helping his career goals to be fulfilled or from the heart. So from music to microbiology, anything can be taken as a minor, and that can bring about interdisciplinarity. So major minor concept, which is there abroad, and minor is not just one paper, but a substantial amount of learning, 20 credits or 25 credits, substantial amount of learning that can go into it. So that's about the second part of the question that you asked. On the overall theme, I would like to divide the entire theme into 6 components. I think we have talked about 1 or 2 of those components in very details, but some might have been missed out. So life cycle of a learner. First of all, I refuse to use the word teacher and student anymore, particularly in these post-pandemic times. It has to be mentor and learner. So a life cycle of a learner has 6 points. Point number 1 is admission. And in admission, the industry can help, number 1, by counseling, participating in counseling online or offline as to what the industry is all about. If someone is wanting to come into civil engineering, or if someone is wanting to come into media, someone is wanting to come into law. So there could be from law different aspects: private practitioner, the government practitioner, a corporate lawyer, a criminal lawyer, and they can come and counsel the candidates who are yet to take admission. So that's one, counseling. And two, in admission interviews, because in interviews, the faculty usually, the university usually looks at certain aspects, whereas the industry can look at completely different, fresh aspects. I'm sure you all are aware of that. So in the, admission interviews is another aspect. So the life cycle first point, admission, counseling, and interviews. Life cycle second point, orientation. The first 1 month or 15 days, there are different rules in different places. Some people have 1 week. Usually from Symbiosis to Amity to ADAMAS, wherever I've been Dean or Vice Chancellor, we have been looking at minimum 15 days to 20 days of orientation. And this orientation, the management of the orientation can be done by a full-time faculty, but actual sessions must be done by the industry people. Because at the very beginning, in the very first fortnight, the learner gets oriented towards what is in the industry, what is in the society, what outcome does he or she should have beyond this education. So orientation, life cycle point 2. Life cycle point 3, training and learning. Obviously, this is the largest period, the entire tenure of the learning almost. And this will have first, which you have already told, program making, designing the program, course design. We call one paper course, and full program is a collection of courses. So program making can be co-branded. Like we have a co-branded course here at ADAMAS called with SAP, one with SAS, one with EMA, Events and Entertainment Management Association. So similarly, several others are there. In many universities, you have already given, some of you have given examples of co-branded. So co-branded, not only co-branded with a company, it could be also co-designed by individual professionals in the industry coming along with the academics. The professionals may not know the credit division, may not know the electives and the core subjects and all that, those concepts with the UGC wants us to bring in, that the academics will bring, but the academics will also bring the foundational courses, conceptual clarity, foundational or theoretical foundation of every course. But then industry people can bring in the application part or the applied part of it. So program making is one. Second, while developing studios and labs, I was also Dean of Whistling Woods, which is headed by Suhas Ghai, and we have a Sony workshop there, and the equipments there, it's more than 20 crores. Obviously, the institute didn't pay for it. Didn't pay in one go. It was over 10 years to be paid for, and it's an interest-free thing. And 20 crores worth equipment, the equipments and softwares which were not even in India at that point of time when it was set up in Whistling Woods in Bombay, in the film city. And advanced technologies have, where black magic and advanced technologies of camera, editing, everything were brought in. So this helps in creating of studios and labs in the support of the industry, which can be much better than the moment or going beyond the limits of the time. And then master classes and live projects, creating a project-based learning. So project from the industry comes. Now we often get these market surveys and other projects from the industry, which are taken by the learners, guided by their mentors, and then the report is submitted over a period of time. Some out-of-pocket expenses, sometimes a little money for that is also available. And master classes, for sure, everyone does master classes by industry professionals. So this is the third aspect of the life cycle, training and learning. The fourth aspect of the life cycle, end of the course, is evaluation. And evaluation, projects given by the industry, viva will say, or interviews, or verbal judgment or jury judgment, all these industry can participate, and that can make the evaluation or assessment. I hate to use the word examination. Examination sounds more punitive, more policing, but assessment and evaluation is more positive, it's more developmental. So evaluation and assessment, the industry can participate very much in that. And the fifth point we all know is internship and placements. So giving full-time internships, the projects can be ongoing during the course itself, during the tenure of the semester itself, and internship can be full-time, and placement obviously at the end of the course when multiple internships are done. So there are offers from the organizations where the student has or the learner has interned, and also new offers from possible other organizations. So that's the fifth element in the life cycle of the learner. And the last, which everyone has spoken quite in details, is the research. Now, the learners who are coming for undergraduate or postgraduate courses may not end in research. Yes, postgraduate, we do have a dissertation, and dissertation is often an apology of a research in the real sense, but then still the dissertation also has a scope of the industry involvement. But research per se, which is doctoral research, applied research, particularly applied research, because industry is interested in applied research or brief based research. They give a brief and that's what they want us to work on, and for that they're ready to fund it as well. So not only PhD research, there has to be a research culture to take up applied research projects from the industry and give, as it happens in the Western world. So in total, there are six elements in the life cycle of a learner, from an undergraduate learner to a research-oriented learner at every level. And these six aspects of the life cycle can engage the industry closely. New education policy encourages it. All of us have done some of it, bits and parts. None of us has done all the six actually in the true sense. None of us actually, that is what the ideal situation might be. Thank you, and back to you.
Excellent. Some of the points basically sums up this entire subject. Uh,
You
and
asked me to
we
speak
will
last.
try
You asked me
to
to speak
discuss.
last. That's why. Since
No,
you asked me to
you're
speak
not the
last,
last. We have Dr. Jatinder. You are the penultimate one. So I'll come to
okay.
Dr. Jatinder now. See, one discussion which no one mentioned very succinctly, but which we know has been happening. Some of these industry collaboration which has happened always happens more on the engineering and the technology front, not so much on the other general streams and areas. But your experience is from emerging science and technology academic institution only. So, one, we would like to know about your experience with the industry, and two, what would your advice be to improve this relation further?
Okay. Okay. Thank you. Very good afternoon to all of you, my dear panelists and organizers. Actually, I'm traveling today now. I have this meeting in the Shimla, and I'm just coming back to my headquarters, that is Baddi University. Your question is very relevant. Many of the things, they have been cleared out, and as you mentioned, that only we have taken into account as on date our technical courses to be assured are granted for the job oriented courses, and for them we have been trying. We means when all the faculties, all uh, the everybody in the institutions across the country, they have been trying to inculcate the students in such a way that they are ready to be ready for placement in the industry, and not for the others. For the information of the House, I will let you know that the new education policy has taken into account all these issues in it, and because this will be the complete revamping of the education system, whatever is existing, there is nothing has been left over, and as a matter of fact, for any university now, the two wings, the placement wing and the counseling wing, they have to be strengthened to that extent that most strong organizations of the university has to be these two wings. So this is the highlight of the new education policy. Now, how we are doing at our system over here, I tell you that we have, what we do, that we do sign the MOUs with the, because when you put the name the Baddi in the net, you will find that this is the Asia's biggest pharma hub. And along with that, other so many organizations, companies, they have also come up. So what do we do? For many of our branches and schools and students, we sign the MOU. We have signed the MOUs with many of the companies. So by the end of the second year or the start of the second year, the students, they are adopted by the industry. Many of the students, they are adopted by the industry. When we say the adoption model, it means the students has to work with the industry in a year for at least 3 months or 4 months. And that period is divided equally in every month. It means 10 days each month. They have to work with them, for which they get a good scholarship to meet out all the expenditures of their academic and other type of studies. That's why, and with the, because when after completing his degree, when any of the company acquire the person, they have to undergo for the skill development or their own training programs for a year or 6 months or whatever it is. Now that is completed within the stipulated time by the company here itself. As a matter of fact, when the student is passed out, he is assured to be taken up by that institution, by that organization or company. So this is how we are doing, and so there are so many other issues with respect to the research and other parts. The companies, they do have their own R&D programs, and academies, they have their own different type of the programs. The collaboration between the academia is lacking, because the R&D, which has been settled by the different companies or organizations as per their own requirements, not on the broader terms. So there are so many other issues which can be concluded, which can be thought upon, that they could be the reasons for the not having the good collaboration. So with these words, I thank you all my dear colleagues, and it is good that I could not lose my connection over here since I'm on the travel. So thank you very much for giving me this opportunity. All the best to one. Good luck to all.
Thank you. So I'll come back to you, Karun, now. Now you have heard all the academicians and talking about, and many of the excellent, relevant points were raised. Some, like Dr. Sayalee, even mentioned about the initiatives that have already been implemented. Very succinctly, Ujjwal mentioned about that sixth phase of learners. So now, hearing all these, what I would like you, and now I'll go to each of the panelists and very succinctly, because we have paucity of time, I would ask you, Karun, 2 points. 2 points where you see the industry, and be someone like an Intercell, who is the interface between the industry and academia. What are going to be your two, if I may say, key focus areas or key initiatives that you will do maybe over the next couple of academic years, if I may say?
Sure. Thank you, Rajneesh. And as per, the discussion that happened, and, the points raised by all the panelists, I certainly relate to, Professor Ujjwal, Dr. Ashok, and Dr. Parvinder also, regarding the points that is being raised as per the process. So let me just start with Professor Ujjwal's point, and especially on the point number two, wherein he raised the point wherein the outreach is to be done to the industries, if I may recall right. So Intercell is trying to ensure that the mentors with whom the students and the professional are speaking with, they are giving them the guidance of what exactly it takes in the industry. It's not that just starting the internship or getting placements done. The corporate world is moving a little, in a different manner. It is very fast. Industries are changing as per the rapid shift in the market, right? So it's like it can't be a short-term goal, or maybe it can't be a very long-term goal. It has to be in a phased manner. As per the industry is changing, the student has to change his or her approach, right? So for that, what we are trying to establish is mentor is guiding the student at the minute when the student has taken an admission in the university. If Intercell is part of the course curriculum, okay, in every semester, if one mentoring session is being taken care by the mentors available on our platform, and students are free to pick and choose the mentors, and they can change the mentors also as per the, as per they are moving ahead as from the semester wise. So in case of any specialization, they can pick and choose a specialized mentor. And not only that, the mentor is giving a real time knowledge to the student. And it's not only about the session of mentoring. We have tangible benefits. We provide a certificate. We also provide a report that is the crux of that 1 hour session that can be used by the academia team and the student to further analyze what exactly is the shift between the industry. If there has been a shift in last 1.5 years, it will be captured by reporting. So this is how we are making sure that it is in sync and student is better to perform in the industry. It's not a short-term goal. It has to be as per the industry that is moving. So this is what we have been doing. And now when it comes to the future, definitely we are trying to make lot many changes in the technology aspect in order to provide better mentoring experience, not only to the student and of course to the academia team, wherein by reports they'll be able to access what would be coming ahead in the next 6 months. This is where the shift is being going from the industry standpoint. So these kind of tools we are adding from the last 1.5 2 years. And now currently we are also working in one of the tool wherein it is in discussion, or I would say it is going as per the process. It is a kind of a talent finder, right? So that the mentor can identify the student as per the mentoring session, which industry this student would be better fitted into, right? Which area would be better for this particular student to perform better in the near future. And as Professor Ujjwal also mentioned in the point, wherein when the orientation happens, if this session is being taken by the mentor at the beginning of the course curriculum or at the beginning of the academia starting, right? Then the mentor can also identify the student which career field or which specialization this student is better fitted for. And as per NEP, it is very well said that mentoring has to be as part of every institute, every university. But sorry to say that there has been a gap. Some things are implemented, but only for sake of it, but the results are not there. What is the efficacy of the mentoring that is being established in a particular institute?
Sure.
Is there any report? It's not
Two
that
minutes, 2 minutes.
providing a mentor for a student for 6 months is resulting in something. So our platform enables that there is reports, there is efficacy that can be derived after every mentoring session. And this is how we have been trying to progress, and we have filed a patent internationally also, that there is nobody who's trying to do what we are trying to do for the education industry right now. Okay, and it's not a product that is only limited for
If I
localized
may
knowledge.
interrupt here, because
It is a global product.
if I may interrupt you 1 second, we just have one last word from everyone because we have really run out of time. Schedule. The very important points that you mentioned, and I'm sure all the academies who are here will look at interacting with Intercell and look at working the solutions that you provide. So I'll start with you, Dr. Sayalee. One, since you are already doing many of the actions, so very briefly, one action point which will immediately follow in the next 2 academic years.
Yeah, I think two things we are working on it. One is how we can convert our labs into research labs in truly a true research lab, and of course, production labs as well. So we are setting up production lab for our pharmacy school and for electric vehicles. So that is what we are trying to do it. And second is capacity or competency development for faculty and students together. And I think this is focusing more on problem solving, leading towards innovation through the research part of it. Yeah.
Thank you. Dr. Parvinder, your two main action points.
Yeah, one is that we must have immediately, which I am thinking after this deliberation of today's, there must be industry institute collaborative cell in the university. And we should immediately decide that whether we are having the general collaboration, that is the informal collaboration, or it is going to be the only academic level collaboration, that's the exchange of the academics. And third should be the institutional support collaboration, which industry can give the institutional support. And next should be the service type collaboration, that what academy will be doing. Cooperative type collaboration, as one of the speaker was saying, university collaboration can take place. And finally, it should be the student-centric collaboration. The researcher from the academy must be engaged in the industry activities so that the collaboration is effective and it is strengthened. And that will serve the theme of the today's discussion also. Thank you, Rajneesh.
Thank you. Dr. Ashok, very briefly, again, your two main action points.
Thank you very much. Like we are in the process of setting up new center of excellences, and we already do have many. So like in next couple of years, we'll be working on CSTPD, that is Center for Skill Technology and Product Development. Then second is we are in the process of establishing Center of World 4.0, Center of Excellence in Industry 4.0, and this COE for Supply Chain Management. So this is one Center of Excellences. And secondly, definitely we would like to work on this pedagogies, because everybody is saying a lot of this, but really the approach that we are following still is the traditional one. We stress a lot on theoretical part, is still like practical. Everybody, NEP talks of practical exposure, learning by doing, but in true sense, when it comes to implementation, we are far from what we preach. So like all our curriculum has to move from like 70% theory, 30% practicals to 70% practical, 30% theory. That will be true learning by doing or experiential learning. This is one. Secondly, we like really are talking a lot about education 4.0, but we actually are working to like kind of education 4.2.0. So we have to move forward to 3.0 and then develop the infrastructure for 4.0. Thirdly, there are different universities across the world following different patterns. We do not have any specific pattern, and we really don't try to even replicate from others. Like Germany has a very good vocational training or vocational institution models. We like skill working is okay, very good, but we do not have any such model in place. Though the university has like notified the BVoc, BTech or BSc vocational, but in ground reality is far from like this. Thirdly, we do not have the PPBL. This is problem project based learning, is probably something that could be industry relevant also. The Australia is leader in this. The Queensland University is doing very good. Probably we would try to learn and implement those things.
Replicating these global best practices that you should said. Thank you. And Professor Ujjwal, you sort of have the last word. You mentioned about that 6 points in that life cycle. So how practically implementable that is, and how soon do you see that happening? Very briefly.
So, it depends on individual universities. As far as calling industry people for counseling and admission interviews very easily can be done, and this is the right time. Admissions are closing, and October the new session starts. In some cases, September the new session starts. So orientation in the first 15 days can easily be done. Then training and learning. The programs are already finalized. Unless a new program is launched next year, that's a different thing. But in the programs, whether the industry was involved or not, that changes from university to university. But master classes, live projects, and involvement of industry in the labs and the studios, this can easily be done. Labs and studios can be a matter of discussion. For example, we are starting a center for creative excellence with Adobe in the last university that I was involved. So that's one. Evaluation. Yes, viva voce and jury, easily industry can be involved. That's not a very tough thing. Internships and placements, everyone is involving, I'm sure of that. And then the research one, applied research, most people have spoken. So actually, from university to university, it may differ, but 40% to 70% of what I have spoken is already being done by many of the universities, at least in the private sector, who are careful because their reputation will bring the students and thereby the revenue and thereby their survival. So therefore, the private universities are careful. But the last 30-40% which is remaining is where the battle is. I have moved out from ADAMAS University, where I was Pro Vice Chancellor till 31st of July, only 10 days, 11 days, 12 days from now. I am trying to now create an inter-university platform where this particular aspect of university in the industry, I'm connected to 82 vice chancellors at this point of time. Good to know 3 more vice chancellors in this program. So trying to create this platform as a formally, a platform which could almost work like a chamber of commerce of the universities. And there are some people helping me in that. And thereby, this industry inputs in the university education can be institutionalized. As Dr. Parvinder was saying, it should be institutionalized, not only informal. It should be formalized. So that is where an attempt has to be done. And yes, collaboration, I'll repeat, collaboration is the order of the day, not competition, neither among universities nor among industries, because competition, we think so about competition too much, because that is how we are conditioned from our childhood. The competition started the moment we were born, because if I was a darker guy and the child in the next bed was a fairer guy, the competition started there. It went into siblings, it went into friends, in peers and everywhere, as if the whole life is to compete with others. So we should look at collaboration going ahead. Thank you, and back to you.
Welcome. So collaboration is the answer. So thanks to all the panelists, all the academicians, and Karun from Intercell. I'm sure even Karun, you will have a lot of food for thought and food for interaction with the panelist institutions present here and all the institutions that are participating here in the second Global Education and the Skills Conclave, the APAC one. Over the 3 days, we have more than 600 academic institutions participating, and I'm sure you'll be able to interact with them and discuss how to mitigate some of these challenges. So thanks a lot, and I'm sure have a great day, and it was my pleasure to host such an eminent panel. Thank you.